You have to have the truth to have a starting point. If I'm lying to you about who I am, or I'm lying to you about whatever, there's no starting point. There's a false reality. You have to create the real reality. That's the real reality. Where the fuck am I gonna start from? So for me, I was lying to this, lying about that, so I had no starting point. Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. All right, I'm not real smart. I have no courage. I have no self-esteem. I have no nothing. Nothing. That's my starting point. Now we can move from there. But if I tell myself I'm strong, I have courage, I'm smart, and all these are lies, you continuously push that starting point backward. So that starting point is the truth. The no fucking bullshit truth that only you can tell yourself. We like to surround ourselves. It makes us feel so good. Those people who say it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay. It isn't okay, man. We love to feel wanted and loved. Trust me, that's all important. It is. But you have to have the truth from people. Hey, you're not working your butt off hard enough. You're not trying hard enough. We all think we're trying hard, but what are you gauging that off of? I'm gonna tell you a difference in trying hard and trying hard. Trying hard is something in your mind just doesn't stop. We know 2 hours isn't enough.
It's brutal self-accountability. And I would argue that brutal self-accountability, you talk about the revolution in your own mind, I think self-accountability is an extremely masculine trait. I think the most successful men on earth are brutally self-accountable. I can talk for myself. I blame absolutely everything on myself. Everything is my fault. I take accountability for it raining outside. I should have brought an umbrella. My fault. So I think that's a very masculine way to look at the life, that absolute accountability. And when I look at men who are weak, they don't have self-accountability. It's someone else's fault or society's fault, or they're depressed, or they're an alcoholic, or they're addicted, or, they need therapy. It's someone else's fault, and their parents are mean. I think accountability is a very masculine trait. And by teaching men to be hyper self-accountable, we will fix a lot of these problems.
If I'm running on a treadmill and I get to mile 9 and I get complete cramp in one of my legs, and I know I've told myself I'm going to run 10 kilometers today, I will have to limp the last mile, even if no one's watching, because I can't let the demons in. And if I let the demons in, they'll show up in the 11th round of a championship fight when there's 50,000 people watching me in the audience, and I know deep in my self-story that I'm the type of person that quits when things get hard because I got off that treadmill at mile 9 when no one was watching. It would modify my self-story. The commitments we keep to ourselves and what we do when no one's watching is the most persuasive evidence that governs everything we then do every day thereafter. You can look at certain people in your lives that are struggling in certain situations, and oftentimes it's a result of continually unkept commitments to themselves.
This is just about self-esteem. It's so simple, it's almost overly emotional for me. This is about self-esteem. The way I choose to do it is I go directly at it. Every one of us can think of somebody we care about right now that's just not doing it right. And all you have to do is sit them down and tell them they're not doing it right. But we don't want to do that because we'd rather not short-term hurt their feelings and let them fail long-term, which is remarkably crazy if you give a fuck about somebody. Have the actual conversation and tell your sister, your mom, your uncle, your aunt, your child, your best friend, the next time they come up with an excuse, that it's a excuse. The reason I say the thing that if there's anybody that ever looked like you that made it, then there's no excuse, is because I believe it. We are just so interested in blaming everybody else and excuses because we don't want to take on responsibility.
A lot of people can live with themselves, look in the mirror and say, I'm okay with being afraid. I'm okay with going on this easy highway over here. The easy highway has all these fucking signs and shit, directions, how to get somewhere. And you have to first be uncomfortable with how you feel about yourself. With that voice that a lot of us like to run away from, we all have it. We all have that voice that say, hey man, you're kind of wimping out right now. You're kind of being a little punk right now. But a lot of us say, okay, that's okay. It's okay to tell these little white lies to ourselves. So we first have to face the real you. The real me is David Goggins. The real me is the guy looking at you right now saying, I don't want to fucking be on this show right now. Because I used to stutter as a kid. And I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid that here in a second, I'm gonna start fucking stammering and stuttering, and the whole world's gonna know that I have all these issues. But that's when I see right now, okay, Goggins, you gotta go on this fucking show. That's Goggins. Goggins is saying, okay, David Goggins, you're a punk. Life made you this way. We can't live like this. We can't live in fear. We can't live in judgment. We can't be afraid of what the fuck people right now are looking at me saying about me. We cannot be afraid of that. That's Goggins. Goggins saying, fuck all of you who don't like me, who don't want to, and that person then comes in. But you have to be David Goggins and say, man, I'm afraid of this. I'm fucked up here. Life made me this way here. I stutter. I have these issues with reading and writing, and I'm fat and I'm insecure. You have to face that in that dark room. In that dark room is who you are. But in that dark room is where you have to create another human being that walks out of that dark room to face who you are. That's the only way you're gonna get over all those things. You have to create someone else. Not like you have two different personalities, it is you. But you have to find strength. And that visualization of almost me cracking out Goggins, like almost like that Superman cape, like I'm coming out a different person, a person that doesn't give a fuck about anything, who doesn't care about being judged, who knows I'm weak, who knows I'm afraid, who says, whatever you think about me, take it, whatever, I'm here. That's Goggins. In the dark room, you face yourself, you realize you want to be better, you realize you don't want to be this weak, insecure person in the world who has all these problems that we all have. We all have. Social media is a great platform to tell you who we want to be, not who we are. So that's where that dark room is.
You can't pour from an empty cup, and before you give love to anybody else, you have to truly love yourself. And I think the easiest way to love yourself as a man is to be proud of yourself. And to be proud of yourself, you have to decide who you want to be inside of the metaverse, inside of the matrix. You have to decide the character you want to be and try your best to achieve it. I think that most people failing in life know very well they're failing. And it doesn't matter what avatar you decide to absorb or who you decide to be. You can decide to be it, and you know true in your heart if you're giving 100% of your energy towards becoming it or not. Doesn't matter if you want to become a famous musician, doesn't matter if you want to become a bodybuilder, doesn't matter if you want to become a pro fighter, doesn't matter what you want to be, you know in your heart if you're actually trying or not. You have to decide what you want to be and try and become it. And a lot of the people who are genuinely unhappy or miserable in their hearts know they're not trying to. People think chess guys are nerds. Chess guys are psychopaths, man. Chess teaches you that no matter how, chess teaches you that if you lose, at some point you made a mistake. It doesn't matter if it's the smallest mistake. It doesn't matter if you just took too long to think to make the right move and you ran out of time on the clock. At some point, you fucked up for you to lose that game. It's 100% accountability with no luck. That's what's so important about learning chess. You need to, as a man, adopt the mindset that absolutely everything that happens to you is completely and utterly your fault, whether it's good or bad. It's 100% accountability in all things. But also, when I go out there and I start the Bugatti, it's like, that's me. This is my fault. The car is my fault, and the big house is my fault.
You know why I keep bringing up the last scene of 8 Mile, the Eminem movie? The last scene, they go into the battle. He makes fun of himself the whole time because it leaves the other person with nothing. The leverage is in being accountable of everything. The leverage is exposing your weaknesses. I proudly talk about passing on Uber twice, being a DNF student. You know, I proudly talk about my shortcomings. Right? I can't wait for more bad things to happen. I mean it. Because I will talk about them because what? You're so fucking perfect? Fuck you. So how do you do it? You have the conversation and you realize that you're doing a disservice to the people you love the most by holding your mouth shut because you're not willing to deal with the short-term conflict.
When I was 297 pounds and I was fat as hell trying to be a Navy SEAL, the scariest thing in the world to me, even to this day, was that could have been the rest of my life. I thought then I was trying hard. That's the scariest thing in the world. I thought then, 297 pound, working for Ecolab, spraying for cockroaches, making $1,000 a month. I thought that was me at my 100% potential. Come to find out, a few years later, I wasn't anywhere near that. 106 pounds less, graduate Navy SEAL training, went on to do all these other things. Looking back on that, that was me trying hard. That's why people gotta understand what is in us. We have no idea until we start trying hard. And I mean really trying hard, where you're obsessed with, hey, this is my new norm. My new norm is that, wow, this isn't always fun. It's not always meant to be fun. And that's when you know you're trying hard. We all have two people. We all have two people. And I'm not saying you're crazy. We have the easy voice, which is at 20%, telling yourself, I'm easy at 90% of my full potential, maybe 100% at that 20%. That's that voice that we all love. That's that very comfortable voice, that's that mommy holding you saying, it's gonna be okay. Doesn't care how good you are, just loves you. just loves you no matter how messed up you are in life. That's where we want to be at. So that's that one voice. This other voice that we walk very far away from is a voice saying, hey man, you ain't doing shit. So we try to get this voice out of our head completely. And we live over here in this land. So what you have to do first is turn up this voice over here. The voice saying things to you that aren't nice. That it's in our head saying, you know what, man, dude, you're not doing shit. And it's not putting yourself down. I'm not saying to put yourself down. I'm saying listen to the truth. And the truth isn't in the 20%. The truth is in this other part of your brain saying, look, man, you're wasting a bunch of percentage here. We have 80 more percent that we're not tapping into because in this other 80% is suffering, pain, failure, self-doubt, darkness, and then a whole bunch of light. But to get to this light, you gotta go through all of this shit. So a lot of us know that. I can get over here, but over here, man, this is much better because I gotta go through this journey that is not fun. This from 20 to 100%, this shit in between is not fun. So we decide to live over here. So everybody goes, how do you do that? You know exactly how to do that. You know exactly, it's not a magic trick. It's all back down to a very primitive mindset of we just have to do. It's like breathing. Breathing becomes normal. Like we don't know that we're doing it. That's how you have to live your life. When that alarm clock goes off at 4 or 5 in the morning, your mind says no. You just say, this is what we do. It's what we do now. Because to get to where you want to go, the amount of pain involved, I'm not saying physical, I'm not saying you got to break yourself off. The amount of mental pain of how many times you're going to have to do something that you don't want to do to get to where you want to go is going to be, there's going to be more times you do something that you don't want to do than you are going to want to do it. And that's your new norm. That's your new norm. So then it's like breathing. And then once you do this over and over and over again, it becomes like breathing. I don't want to live this lifestyle, but to get to the other side of this, I have to.